There's a sound that cuts right through the early morning peace, a sound I'll never forget. It's what happens when someone's entire sense of control slams into reality hard and fast. For Patricia Vance, that sound was this high-pitched operatic screech tearing down Oakenway at 7:14 a.m., echoing off the stucco and palm trees. Picture it, this grown woman, self-anointed queen of our suburban kingdom, sprinting down the sidewalk in designer heels that probably cost more than my first truck. Arms windmilling, hair stuck in place by enough chemicals to survive a hurricane, all while a cloud of angry hornets chased her like she'd just robbed a bank. If you'd been there that morning, you'd have seen the whole neighborhood spill out their front doors, coffee mugs frozen halfway to their lips, jaws dangling. Me, I was behind my blinds, nursing a strong cup of black coffee, watching it unfold with the quiet, precise satisfaction of a man who just watched a complicated equation balance itself out down to the last decimal. Every single sting Patricia took felt like a little invoice, a payback for every debt she'd stacked up terrorizing our Silver Creek sanctuary. And trust me, there was a bill long overdue. But before you start thinking I'm just some mad scientist unleashing nature's fury for fun, let's rewind. I need to tell you how an aerospace engineer like me ended up here setting up a Hornet sting operation on a suburban street. 6 months back, I was running from the ruins of a 20-year marriage looking for quiet, a place where the biggest thing I had to stress about was the humidity in my cigar humidor. Name's Elias Thorne. For 30 years, my job was designing guidance chips for ballistic systems, expensive gadgets that had to hit a target smaller than a fingernail from halfway across the world. So yeah, I crave order, logic, and quiet. Silver Creek promised all that. A desert oasis, manicured lawns, a neighborhood where the wildest drama should have been a trash can left out too long. What I didn't calculate was Patricia Vance, a woman who treated HOA bylaws like they were the 10 Commandments and she was the only prophet. Picture a lady in her 50s with a helmet of blonde hair that never moved, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, piloting her white Range Rover through the streets like she was inspecting her own private fiefdom. My first taste of her reign came 3 days after I finished unpacking. Knock at my door, and there she was, clipboard in hand, eyes raking my drought-resistant yard like a detective. "Welcome to Silver Creek. Mr. Thorne," she chirps, all passive-aggressive honey. "I'm the HOA president, and while we appreciate individuality, your gravel's a bit industrial for our aesthetic." Translation, not about property values. This was about power. Not. Thing is, I'd read the HOA manual cover to cover for fun. My yard was by the book. But Patricia, she didn't play by logic, she played by thrill. Nitpicking violations gave her the kind of rush other folks get from roller coasters. And soon enough, she was treating our porches like her personal Amazon depot. First, it was a missing package, a cooling fan for my server rack. Then vintage parts for a project. $300 worth of titanium filament vanished. To most people, these are just lost boxes. To an engineer, it's a system malfunction. So I set up a discreet doorbell camera, nothing fancy, just collecting data. What I saw blew my mind. Every Tuesday and Thursday, right between 9 and 11, packages disappeared. Not some punk in a hoodie, but Patricia herself. She'd saunter up, weigh the box, shake it, decide if it was worthy, then stroll off to her Range Rover. She looked less like a thief and more like she was shopping. The day I caught her red-handed, I was in my home office coding when I saw her on camera lifting a box worth $400 in microcontrollers. I bolted outside, voice steady. "Excuse me, Patricia, I believe that's mine." She froze. For a half second the mask slipped, but then that plastic smile snapped back on. "Oh, Elias, thank goodness you're home. I was just securing this for you. We've had porch pirates, you know. Safety first." She said it so straight I almost believed her. I took my box and let her know with a look that I wasn't buying it. That should have been the end, right? Wrong. 2 days later, a fine showed up, $50 a day, until I swapped my gravel for sod, which, by the way, is against the county's own water-saving laws Patricia supposedly loves. So I dug through the records. Turns out her best friend's house had the same gravel. Approved, no problem. At the next HOA board meeting, I slapped down proof photos, timestamp statutes. The committee chair, Arthur Pennyworth, a guy who always looked like he was apologizing for breathing, muttered. The violation was dismissed. Patricia. She went purple with rage but said nothing. A week later, I get another fine. Now my window blinds are non-conforming. The same blinds that came with the house. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. This was war. And Patricia had decided I was the enemy. She figured I'd just roll over, not realizing I spent my life solving unsolvable problems with math and patience. So I started attending every HOA meeting, picking apart budgets, questioning expenses, demanding meeting minutes. At first, people stared like I'd lost my mind. But then quietly, others started talking stories of lost packages, missing medicine, stolen jewelry. Even Patricia's supposed friends started whispering. One night, Elena Russo, her right-hand gal, pulled me aside. She'd lost a shipment of jewelry, tracking said delivered. She never saw it. When I tried to raise package theft at the next meeting, Patricia shut it down with the gavel hard. "This is not a forum for personal grievances, Mr. Thorne." But her eyes were darting around like a cornered animal. I knew I needed more than shaky video. So I upgraded 4K cloud camera, cellular backup, decoy packages, electronics boxes full of sand. It worked. One Tuesday, I get an alert: Patricia on camera snatching a hazardous materials box, which was just toner, straight to her car. No hesitation. No shame. That was my smoking gun. I drove straight to the precinct, met Detective Miller, a guy who looked like he'd seen it all. When he watched the footage, he actually sat up straight. 20 minutes later, we're looking at Vance's vault on a resale site, dozens of items matching police reports from our neighborhood. Electronics, designer clothes, even medical equipment. All under Patricia's account. But here's the thing about the justice system. It's slow. The DA wanted to offer her a slap on the wrist. Restitution apology. Patricia's response: "It's a deepfake." She lawyered up, sent me a cease and desist, then called an emergency HOA meeting demanding a ban on all surveillance devices. The room was packed. I plugged my phone into the projector and hit play. There she was, stealing from the Abernathys. The silence after was thick enough to choke on. "That is a violation of my rights," she shrieked. Detective Miller stepped out from the back, cool as ice, and said, "Actually, theft is a violation of the law." You'd think that'd be the end, right? Not with Patricia. She made bail and unleashed hell. Complaints to the county said I was running an illegal aerospace shop. IRS reports. Even called Adult Protective Services, saying I stored explosives near kids. A paperwork onslaught meant to bleed me dry. I had to hire Samantha Cole, a legal pit bull who lived for cases like this. She countersued. But the real break came from the quietest guy in the room, Arthur Pennyworth, the board's accountant. One day, hands shaking, he showed me spreadsheets over coffee. "The packages are just the tip of the iceberg," he said. Nearly $70,000 in consulting fees to a vendor that didn't exist, bank account traced back to Patricia and her husband. She wasn't just a porch pirate, she was embezzling from the HOA, stealing our dues, faking invoices for wellness audits. That changed everything. Now we weren't just fighting petty theft, we were dealing with felonies. Patricia, sensing the noose tightening, tried bribing Arthur, offered him 15 grand to fudge the books. The fool recorded the whole thing on his phone. That moved it from theft to witness tampering, serious time. Still, I wanted a finale, a lesson. Not for me, but for the neighbors still defending her. So I got creative. Built the ultimate bait package: high-end box, GPS tracker, hidden cameras, microphone, and a little surprise: a Hornet swarm, courtesy of a pest control buddy, safely contained until triggered. GPS moves more than 50 feet. Timer starts. 60 seconds later, Hornet release. Day of the sting. Patricia filed a restraining order on me, then staged a break-in on her own house to manufacture evidence. Caught on camera by Elena, by the way. Detective Miller gave us the green light. I set the bait at 7 a.m., watched from my office as her Range Rover prowled down the block. At 7:38, she snatched the box, all eager, tossed it on the passenger seat, shut the door. The GPS pinged: movement detected. I counted down. 59, 58. The internal cams caught it all. At 0, the Hornets burst out, turning her luxury SUV into a swirling hell. She didn't just yell, she made a noise I've never heard from a human. bolted out of the car, arms flailing, hair wild, leaving everything behind, as the Hornets chased her down the street, a perfect visual for karma in action. Detective Miller let her tire herself out before cuffing her right there, swollen wrists and all. That night's HOA meeting was a show. Packed house. We played the footage, showed Arthur's graphs, pointed to every dollar gone missing. When I spoke, I didn't raise my voice, just laid it out. We let a bully rule because fighting back seemed harder, but that apathy cost us 70 grand and more than that our trust. Patricia pled out grand larceny, embezzlement, witness tampering. 2 years in prison, restitution house sold, Range Rover gone. Robert, her husband, got probation, both banned for life from any HOA or nonprofit. The neighborhood healed, new bylaws, transparency. Arthur runs the books now, honest to a fault. And me, I'm not just the engineer anymore, I'm actually friends with folks I'd barely nodded to before. Tonight, as the sun sets over a quieter, happier street, I find myself wondering, and I want to ask you, is the Hornet box too much? Did I go too far? Meeting psychological warfare with a little physical payback? Or is that just the only language some people understand? We always talk about taking the high road, but maybe sometimes the high road just gives bullies a better angle to shoot from. Sometimes justice really does need a little sting to make the lesson last. What do you think? Would you have set the trap or let the lawyers handle it? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me if you've ever dealt with a suburban tyrant or HOA nightmare. Let's hear your stories about justice, karma, and what it takes to finally put a bully in their place.